Hey y'all, welcome back to Sunbutter Superheroes. I know it's been a minute since I've made a video. The Sunbutter business is doing well and I'm a one-woman show, so I don't always get the downtime to do this, but I really enjoy it, so let's get into it. So they're back at the mansion's getting restored, and I was like, who's paying? Remember I was like, who's paying the bills? It's Angel. It's Angel. So Wolverine and him are walking out, and they're doing the renovations, and then Wolverine's like, it's just that there's a lot of ghosts here and memories or whatever, and I'm like, but there's literally not, because this is all new. Remember, it was blown down to the ground. So apparently they're having it restored exactly the way it was. I don't know. So as he's escorting Angel to the door, you know, they're talking. Angel's like, are you gonna go and see if you can't find Rogue? Wolverine's like, absolutely not. So then they open the door, and at the door is Emma Frost and her boobies. Warren is very nice to, happy to see Emma Frost and her boobies. But Wolverine is not. Emma tells them, oh, I've decided to join the X-Men. Wolverine's like, you what? Decided? And he's like, well, then I've decided that no, you're not. And she's like, well, if you know me, then you know that I never come empty-handed. And Wolverine's like, what could you bring to the door besides your boobies? And he didn't say that, I said that. And she said, I can find Professor X for you. And she's not wrong. So he tells Angel, don't worry about it, because Angel's like, maybe she has a point. He's like, she don't. But anyway. So she's in the house just waiting, and then Beast and Bobby and Kitty they come and they want to talk to Emma, and so Wolverine introduces them. Bobby is at full attention, and Kitty notices this. She's giving her the stink eye, and I don't know if she knows that Emma's a telepath at this point, because if she did, I think that, she tried to keep that stink eye down a little bit. But anyway, like I said, Bobby's happy to see Emma and Her Boobies. Hank, I don't know. I can't tell. And so when Wolverine introduces Emma to them, he's like, she had another mutant school. Like, she tried to copy it. Professor X, it didn't work out because her students turned around and just bullied people. And Emma was like, that wasn't really my fault, though. So anyway, back to why I'm here. So she breaks down. She's like, I miss my school. I miss teaching. I miss being part of a team. And by the way, we need each other. And Logan's like, that's a big assumption. And she's like, it's not though, because you need a telepath to operate Cerebro. She's right. And Wolverine, he tries to play it off, and he's like, oh, well, that's what this is about. You want access to Cerebro? Well, too bad. It was destroyed in the blast. She looks him dead in his eye, because this man, you know what? Wolverine sometimes don't be self-aware at all. This man knows who Emma and Her Boobies are. He knows that she is a telepath. She just said it again. And then he goes and he's like, it was destroyed in the blast. He's lying. And she looks at him dead in his face, and she's like, the repairs are almost done. Call me when it's ready. Wolverine, sometimes. So Bobby runs to get the door for Emma and Her Boobies, and and she's like, oh, you're adorable. And Kitty's like, she's a telepath. She knows what you're thinking. But I imagine Emma and Her Boobies get that a lot. So Hank's like, she's right. And Wolverine's like, I know she is. And so he has to go and tell Forge to go work on Cerebro. But right now, Forge is working on the War Room, or the Danger Room. And Wolverine has to get through that in order to get to Forge. So we see Wolverine tearing up the War Room while Forge is not paying attention. And so he's going to have to fix the War Room, Forge is. And also, while he's also fixing the Blackbird, while he's also fixing Cerebro. So Forge is the only person that's like really fixing anything around here besides whatever Angel is paid for. And he's a little frustrated. So Forge fixes Cerebro. They go get Emma and Her Boobies, and she comes to find Charles Xavier. But she's rude to everybody in the room in the meantime. She doesn't want to introduce herself to Forge. She tells Wolverine, you probably don't even want me to find Charles, because Wolverine was like, don't mess this up. And she was like, you just want to be in charge. You don't want me to find Charles. Wolverine doesn't say anything to this, but she's wrong, I think. And then she continues to be rude to Forge, because he's like, oh, he wants to explain to her how it goes. She's like, I read your mind on the way in. Get out of my way. Side note, I keep like making fun of Emma and Her Boobies, but she's actually slaying this whole look. Like, she's got on the white duster jacket with the white bustier and the ice blue lipstick. She's serving. She really is. Emma and Her Boobies serve. So Emma and Her Boobies find out that Charles Xavier is on Genosha in Magneto's place. This is what I be talking about when I talk about Wolverine, though. Here we go. Wolverine is like, well, we're about to go get Charles. And Beast is like, maybe we should call first. And Wolverine's like, no, because this means he blew up the mansion. And Beast is like, not according to the evidence that I've been looking at, because I've been investigating the explosion while you've been running around throwing helicopters in buildings, okay? So no, maybe we should call him first. And Wolverine is like, no, I'm about to go get him, and it's long overdue. Now here's the thing. Well, this is when I say Wolverine isn't self-aware. You're going to Magneto's house. Your bones are made of metal. How do you think this is gonna go? This is what I need to know. Logan. He really sometimes don't be thinking. He really does. But first he gotta go get Cyclops, who is continuing to live in squalor. Like, this has to be some kind of flop house. It's not even government housing like I initially thought. He done blasted the furniture. The TV is blasted into the wall. The hole he blasted Wolverine out of in the first episode is boarded up by a piece of fence. Not a board, not a piece of fence. Squalor. But this time he does agree to come because he really wants to go get Professor X. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna come this time. And again, here's Wolverine, right? First of all, I have to say, Scott came in here in his Matrix finest, okay? Not with the raggedy Matrix, like how he was looking, but like when they had the trench coats and everything. Scott looks great. But, so they're going to go with the Blackbird, their jet, right? Forge is in the Blackbird, like actively fixing it. And Wolverine's like, it's gonna fly, right? And Forge is like, I think so. And so Beast is like, well, maybe we should wait. And again, this is Logan and being impulsive and ridiculous. He's like, no, we fly now. Forge get in and basically keep us alive while we're flying. To go get hemmed up by Magneto. I'm sticking with that. To go get hemmed up by Magneto. So, Emma and Her Boobies walk in. And the shade out. Scott sees her. He's like, and she walks up to him. And she looks at Scott. She goes, ooh, Wolverine's more desperate than I thought. The shade. Emma, boobies. Come on now. So the jet is in the air, but it's actively falling apart while Beast and Forge are trying to put it back together. They're trying to put it back together, but Logan's being the pilot. He has the nerve to be irritated that they're trying to put it back together. The nerve, the gall, the gumption. Like, seriously. He told you that he didn't even know if this thing could fly, and you're like, well, we're going now, and now you want to be irritated. Get the autopilot on so I can get out of here. You are, ooh, Wolverine is working my nerves this episode. So I guess Scott's sitting there just really thinking hard because Emma has to turn around, and she's like, so you want to ask me about Jean, so ask. And he's like, well, would you know if she was on Genosha? And Emma's like, yeah, I would. And if I have enough time, I could probably find her wherever she is. But I don't know if I'll be around. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, ask Logan because he wants me gone by tomorrow. This woman knows what she's doing. Finally the jet is flying, and they finally get into stealth mode, but they land on Magneto's house. And it's in stealth mode, but it's still made of metal. Beast is a better man than me because they split up looking for the professor in Magneto's house. The only person that this makes sense to do to look for the professor is Emma and Her Boobies. And maybe Kitty. Bobby's freezing stuff everywhere he goes. Scott's actively blasting doors down. And Wolverine's bones are made of metal. And so Wolverine's looking, and wouldn't you know it, he all of a sudden starts flying through the air, through the metal walls, into a wall made of metal spikes. And yeah, why do you think that's happening? And what does Magneto say to him? What do you think he said? He says, a man with metal bones should know better than to break into my house. You're right, Magneto. Logan should have had more sense than to break in your house because he has adamantium bones. But does Logan apologize? No. He goes, well, what about my house? Because he is fully committed to the idea that Magneto blew up this house. He didn't even say, so did you blow up the house? No. That's not what he does. Oh, he's just... And Magneto goes, I'm offended by that. And quite frankly, I would be too. You know, you didn't even ask. You busted up in here to accuse me of something you could have called me on the phone to do. So then the rest of them come busting in to go to try to save Wolverine and beat Magneto. And he and his metal house hems them up in short order. Like, it's not even close. It's not even like a fight. Like seconds, each one of them. Like, bow, bow, bow. Side note, Scott's doing all this X-Men fighting and jumping around and everything like that. When's he been practicing? Because, like I said, he was living in squalor and was presumably a drunk from the way they drew him. So I don't know if it's muscle memory or what. So after Logan and all them, they all get hemmed up and everything. Then here go Logan. Stop. We didn't come looking for trouble. That's what he says. And Magneto was like, oh yes you did. And I'm giving it to you. And by the way, the professor will be very disappointed in you and your actions. And so Logan is like, yeah, no, you're right. This is all my fault. And that's what Magneto wanted to hear. He's like, yeah, it is your fault. And then Logan was like, well, you just want to see the professor. Can you take us to him? And look, Magneto says, all you had to do was ask. Oh, if I was Hank right now, hemmed up at the wall, I'd be like, actually, to keep it a buck, if I was all of them, I'd be so mad. Because it's like, you really didn't think this through. You really didn't, Logan. You have us all bound up in metal and looking ridiculous for no reason. I really believe he was reasonable enough. All you have to do was ask. And furthering my theory that sometimes Logan don't have a drop of sense. So Magneto takes them to go see Charles. He's in bed. He don't have no brain activity. That's what Emma said. And so Eric is like, Magneto, he's like, Charles is a really dear friend of mine. All I've been doing is caring for him. And he is. He looks comfortable. And Logan's like, more like keeping an eye on him. We both know you're afraid of Charles. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. And so Hank jumps in. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Can we take him home? And Magneto's like, yeah, of course. His place is with you guys. But I really wish you guys would consider coming to Genosha where, you know, mutants are cared about. Logan, I swear to God, if I was Hank, when we got back to the mansion, it would be on and popping. And Magneto can't help but to, you know, throw a little shade Logan's way on the way out. He's like, but the next time you come by, use the front door. Just ask. Again, if I was Hank when we got back. So they get Charles back to the mansion and they're like, we're going to bring you back. We're going to do whatever it takes. And then Charles starts talking to them from the future. They're like, how are you doing this? What's going on? And Charles is like, shut up. Listen, the future is horrible. It is horrible. And we got to work together to make it not horrible. Because it turns out like the machines took over the future and they burned everything down to the ground. And Logan's like, how'd this happen? He's like, well, it's the X-Men's fault because y'all broke up. As he's saying this, Scott's walking away. As he's saying, you guys broke up, you guys need to stick together in order for this future not to happen. Scott's walking away, presumably to go back to live in his drunken squalor. Somehow that's better. I don't know. So we end with two things. One is the professor and his future. And in this future, we see Professor running past the graves of all the X-Men. You heard me, running. So that's one. And then 2, Wolverine giving his version of a pep talk, talking about whatever's eating us, we got to get past it because we got to work together and stop this future. All in all, this was Logan at his finest, I think. And hopefully we don't see any more of this out of Logan, but we probably will. Anyway, y'all, the recipe for the snack for today's episode is on my website. I made peanut butter pretzel bites, but before I could even have any, they all got eaten. So I had to sit here and just do my review and not have a snack. But I want y'all to make it. Apparently they were delicious. Yeah, that's what I heard. So anyway, this has been fun. I'll pick up next week with episode 4, and don't forget to grab your favorite jar of fries however you can, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.